The last station. Before the sky it began with a dead signal. Every night at 2:13 a.m., the weather radio in the little highway station outside Red Mesa crackled with a burst of static. Officer Mara Hale had learned to ignore it. Old towers coughed. Thin clouds scratched at frequencies. Coyotes yipped and the desert answered. She poured coffee, signed her patrol logs, and watched moths throw themselves at the fluorescent lights until dawn relieved the world of its edges. But on the night the sky came down, the static wasn't random. It had rhythm like breath. In out, pause, in out. Then a whisper that wasn't a voice at all. Mara set her mug down and looked at the radio. Beside it, the radar screen held its usual emptiness. No storms, no planes, no anything. Beyond the window, Highway 41 ran like a strip of spilled night. A single gas station across the road slept under a sign that promised hot coffee and clean restrooms to no one. It was just her and the moths and the desert that never forgot. The static hissed again. 3 beats, silence, 2 beats, silence, 1 beat, hello. Her skin prickled. She reached out and adjusted the volume with careful fingers. "Dispatch, this is Station 7, she said into her shoulder mic, keeping her voice easy. "I'm getting interference on the NOAA band. Are you seeing anything?" Silence answered. Then the mic clicked. A breath, almost human, came through, a shape of a sound rather than the sound itself. Then the line cut with a wet snap. She tried the landline. Dead. Her cell showed no bars, no carrier name, only a blank where the world should be. "All right," Mara murmured to no one. She'd driven through downed towers and power outages and dust storms that turned noon to midnight. This felt different. In the corner, the station's old clock ticked, steady as a heartbeat. At 2:21 a.m., the power dipped. The lights didn't go out. They bowed like grass under a foot. The moths scattered, then returned, confused. The coffee machine sighed. Beyond the window, the stars hiccuped. No, not the stars. Something between the station and the stars moved without moving. And for one breath, the dark looked layered, like there was another night behind the night. She stepped outside with her flashlight and her hand on the holster she had no reason to touch. The air was still. The desert smelled like dust and cold iron. Her beam swept across the parking lot, the highway, the nameless brush. Her own breath sounded loud. A shape stood at the far edge of the lot where the asphalt bled into sand. It was the size of a child. It was not a child. Head too round, shoulders too narrow, arms too long. It tipped its face toward her light, and she saw eyes that were eyes only because there had to be a word. "Ma'am?" The word left her mouth on old officer training, like knocking before you open a door you know is empty. "Are you all right?" The shape didn't move. It was not coyote, not person. It was a silhouette with weight, as if the dark had decided to take a place and see what standing felt like. Then it did move, not forward, but nearer, with no steps between. Mara took 1 step back, steady, slow. Her body wanted to run. Her job said don't. "Stay where you are," she said gently. "You're not in trouble." The thing turned its head. Moths battered themselves against the station lights, frantic now. The thing raised its hand, long, too many joints, delicate like a spider's leg, and pressed its palm to empty air. The night rippled. The ripple traveled across the parking lot as if the asphalt were water and someone had put a finger to its surface. When the ripple reached the station's front door, the glass fogged from the inside. Words wrote themselves into the fog, not letters but their ghosts, shapes like hooks and loops and maps. Mara did not know how she knew, but she knew what it said. Open. Her heart thudded once, hard enough to feel in her fingers. "No," she said, to the door and the radio and the thing all at once. "Not tonight." The door unlocked with a soft, polite click. Mara lifted her gun, but the shape was gone. Not moved. Gone like a thought you'd had and then lost. She stood with the empty door yawning and the moths throwing their bodies into the fluorescent glow like it was salvation. The radio behind her popped. The static breathed. A voice without throat or tongue tried a human cadence, passing a hand over the idea of words until it found one that fit. "Hello?" it said, and the syllables landed wrong, like a shoe on the wrong foot. "Open, dispatch?" Mara tried anyway because she was a person with a job and the steps were written in her bones. "Identify," the voice inhaled silence. "Open." "No," she said again, suddenly and fiercely human. "You ask nice. You knock. You don't just—" She stopped. She could feel it listening through the wires, curious like a child or a spider. A light came on across the road. The gas station sign flickered, tried to say hot coffee, died on hot cough, flickered again. A man inside, Derek, who did graveyard shifts and read paperback westerns, moved between the aisles unaware. Relief hit her so fast she almost laughed. She raised her hand to wave. The shape was standing behind him. Her breath vanished. She didn't shout. She couldn't. The thing tilted its face toward the store's convex mirror as if it had noticed itself for the first time. Its head twitched, curious. Then it looked directly at Mara through 2 rooms and a highway and glass. The distance between them became a suggestion. It blinked without lids. "Mara?" Derek's voice came faintly across the road when he opened the door to shake a cigarette from its box. Power's being weird again. "Your phone's out too?" She forced her throat to work. "Yeah," she said, and her voice sounded normal. "Stay inside, Derek." The lights above him bowed again. "Not out, down." The cigarette fell from his fingers in a thin red parabola. He stared at the ceiling. What's with the ceiling bent? That was the only way. Your mind finds familiar words and puts them on the wrong things. The false sky of fluorescent panels dimpled like heavy fabric, then dented, then lowered until it touched the top of the shelves and the top of Derek's head. He reached up instinctively with both hands and pressed. His palms sank in as if into cold jelly. He made a soft sound. The shape behind him tipped its face as if learning something. Mara ran. She didn't remember deciding. Her boots hammered the asphalt. The highway between felt longer than 12 steps. She reached the door, yanked. It stuck as if she were pulling at a held breath. It opened. Inside, the air had thickness. The world felt a half-second delayed. Derek stood with his hands pressed into the lowered ceiling, eyes wide, chest working. She grabbed his sleeve and yanked him down and sideways. The knot ceiling stretched, clung, let go with a wet sigh. They fell into an aisle of motor oil and beef jerky and lottery tickets. The shape turned its face toward them. "Back door," Mara gasped, already dragging him. "Move." He moved. Humanity at its best is a clean vector. Someone says run and you run. Someone says hold and you hold. They pushed through the storage room that smelled like cardboard and citrus cleaner. The emergency exit bar groaned. Outside, the desert felt thin but still itself. The stars had too many eyes. They ran for the station. Halfway across the highway, her radio squawked with the word open stretched thin as wire. The road under them had the give of a trampoline for one step. Then it remembered itself, or pretended to. They slammed the station door. It locked. The glass sighed. The moths beat their wings like 1,000 soft clocks. "What is that?" Derek whispered. He was not a brave man or a coward. He was a person, which means he was both at once. What is it wants in?" Mara said. She held the door with her shoulder as if her body could equal the night. "So we don't let it." A childish simplicity moved through her like a beam. Objects, doors, thresholds. You do not invite a thing that asks wrong. Old stories were emergency manuals disguised as fairy tales. Ask nice, knock, say your name. There was a soft scraping sound from the roof. Not feet, more like hands, many and light, learning a surface. The radio clicked. The voice tried a new word and got it only mostly right. "Name," it said. Mara swallowed. "Mara," she said, because some bargains were ancient and you honored them by saying them aloud. "Mara Hale." Silence so complete it hummed, then very softly, perfectly pronounced, "Mara." The lights dipped. The moths fell like confetti. Her breath fogged in air too dry to fog. On the window, shapes formed again, faint as handwriting in milk. This time the loops and hooks rearranged themselves into her name, the letters almost correct. Then below it, another line, "We are." The last word wobbled, changed shape, then settled on the simplest truth. "Hungry." Derek let out a sound that wasn't a word and wasn't a prayer. He took a step back toward the radio desk as if trusting furniture. Mara didn't move. She looked at the door, at her reflection in the glass, at the night stacked behind the night. "Not for us," she said. "There are other deserts." The window fogged again. "No deserts." Then more careful, like a child reciting, "We were long. We are small now. You are doors." Mara thought of the ceiling lowering as if testing the idea of inside and outside. She thought of the way the highway had given under her boot for one step, like a tongue tasting. She stepped away from the door and went to the breaker box. "What are you doing?" Derek asked, voice up around his eyes. "Changing the house rules," she said. "You ever watch bugs when you mess with their light?" She threw the main. The world went black, a clean cut for one heartbeat. When the backup kicked in, only the emergency strip over the hallway glowed faint and red. The moths vanished into the dark. The station felt closer to the desert, and the desert felt